Hello and welcome to Fear Free Human Coaching Show. I am Zen Cryer DeBrook. I am your host, and I'm here to support you in being able to tap into divine intelligence using your internal guidance system, or IGS for short. I spent the last, I actually found the internal guidance system in 1993 for myself. And I used the internal guidance system to go from being a high school dropout to a tech CEO in the late 1990s in San Francisco. I got to be a part of the big, huge dot-com boom. And then also I was able to use it in my life to just be able to get through all of my past trauma. I was able to use it to find my way to what my purpose and my contribution is in the world. And that's what I'm here to support you in doing. And one of the big things that is important about learning to use your internal guidance system is the awareness. I'm going to turn off my notifications here, is the awareness that all fear, anxiety, overwhelm, frustration, and irritation, to name a few, anytime you feel that tight feeling in your center of your body, what it means is that what you're thinking is not going to work out for you in your life. It doesn't matter whether you're in a conversation and you have somebody who says something and you have that sinking feeling inside, or you get immediately riled up and on edge about something they said. Those two moments in life, whatever you just thought, the reaction your mind had is actually not true. It's not based on what's really actually happening in the moment. It's based on a historical thing that your mind went through. And so by you dropping in and being able to learn how to use your IGS when those moments happen, and then you do is you do a pivot until this center releases. That means the thought that you had in the moment when that releases is true for you. When you do that pivot in your life, you are now having a mindset of something in a way that's going to work for you. Like that new way of thinking, you getting out of your old reactive and instead responding changes everything in your life. Now, a lot of times people will ask me, hey, where does this guidance come from? How do you, when that tightness happens, what is the thing that's causing the tightness? Because it's not your emotions. It sits outside of your mind. And this has been something that I've been investigating with deep curiosity for the past 30 years. Like, this internal guidance system has given me guidance on things that my mind can't possibly have known. I have hundreds and hundreds of stories in my own life and in my students' life, of like these dynamic, powerful experiences happening where the guidance is moving them in a direction that seems miraculous. And truly, it is miraculous. Just even being able to get out of the way our mind reacts in a normal situation, the way it always does. You have this way you always react to something, right? Just being able to step outside of those way our mind reacts and have a new response to the world around us is a miracle. But then there's also this other thing. And this other thing is, when you get an opening to a thought, you 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 know that it's going to happen. This is where I think it's like in the Bible, it talks about the faith of a mustard seed moving a mountain. You can physically feel in your body when you get the opening that this thought you had is true for you, and is going to either happen, or something else better than that is going to happen. But where does this divine information come from? This knowledge? Because it's not intuition, it's not a psychic thing. And over the course of my lifetime, I've come to believe that this is the Holy Spirit. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a Christian to use your IGS, because everybody in the world has this experience happening. But there does seem to be a divine presence that's guiding us, and it's supporting us in knowing what thinking is out of alignment and what thinking is in alignment. And what is in alignment creates peace and prosperity in our lives. It creates abundance. It creates patience, kindness, empathy, compassion. And it's fascinating to me that there's a harmony when you begin to know how to go from opening to opening to opening. That's what it's called when this center tightness releases. When you learn to go from opening to opening to opening, you become a part of something much bigger than yourself, number one. Like, you're in the right place at the right time to give the right part of yourself, your gifts, to the world around you, to others. There's a place in which I have, like, I'll give you an example. I've talked about this before, but it was such a powerful thing. When I started to first do this work, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the comments for somebody, I always want to remember to do this for coaching today. I'm going to put in there the link. Whoops. One second here, everybody. I when I first started to do this work, and I as a profession, because I didn't start to do it. I was a tech CEO, and then slowly but surely over time, as I there it is, as I used this, I began to realize how powerful this experience is, and I began to teach other people because my life was working out and really challenging things I was getting through in a much easier way than other people because I was able to stop when I'm feeling this suffering and this tightness and this anxiety, or when I was feeling frustrated and I knew that my thinking wasn't right, and I began to create new ways of thinking, like, okay, when I feel this way, this is the type of question that and query, like I'm now thinking of it like a prompt for AI. Like, this is the query I need to have about the thinking that I'm in that will move me into an opening. I will find it by querying and looking deeply into my thinking in a particular way. And so as I began to teach other people how to do that and their lives became miracles, I was asked to meet a woman named Lynn Twist because she could help get this work out into the world in a bigger way. And every time somebody would say, and it was so funny because I'd had several people tell me I needed to meet this woman. Every time I got a closing at meeting her, and this happened for a couple of years, where people are like, "You really got to meet Lynn," and I'm like, "I know, but I'm not getting an opening to do that." And you'll learn that as you study the internal guidance system, what you'll learn is that when you stop and you wait for the opening, you're in the perfect place at the perfect time, and it's absolutely like it's gonna work out for you. You just have to wait until you get that experience of opening. And finally, one day, someone said, "You really got to meet Lynn. I don't understand why you're not getting an opening to meet her." And I got the opening to meet her. I was like, I checked in again and I was like, I'm getting an opening to meet her. And that led me to the Transformational Leadership Council, meeting Jack Canfield. That had me just leapfrog into a completely new realm that I would have never dreamed possible. Number one, to be a part of that organization. And then number two, I got a I got a closing. Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul series, wanted me to be in his organization. And then I got a closing about following up with him. And every time I checked in after I had spent time at his house and he had invited me about following up and becoming a part of the organization, I closed. Now that's not what you do. In the world they teach you, you have an opportunity like that, you go and you follow up and you get in there and you make it happen. But I didn't get the opening to do that. And it wasn't until like 6 months later that someone came back and said, "Hey, whatever happened with the Transformational Leadership Council group?" That I was like, "I never got an opening to follow up." And they're like, "Well, you better call Lynn and apologize for giving you that introduction to Jack Canfield, and you didn't do anything about it." And when I called her, she told me, "Oh, Jack did all the footwork for you. You're in. I didn't have to do anything." And I can tell you right now that if I had done something, I probably would have blown it because I had imposter syndrome at that time about me, and I don't have a therapy license. I created this work on my own. I felt like I needed some sort of qualifications in order to coach or do anything with it, which how many of you out there have those things going on? I didn't feel like I was good enough for sure, right? I was just a small tadpole in a big, tiny, huge pond. And I didn't feel like I had the chops to like even go for something like that. So I probably would have overemphasized things and made it too complex. And I might not have even gotten in because of how I would have presented myself at that time based on who I was in that moment. And Jack was the one who needed to do it for me, but I couldn't have known that. So it's very interesting that there is an intelligence that's operating in our lives every single day in your life. Every single day, there is a divine presence, God, all that is out there in the world is focused on you and your thinking and supporting you in being able to have the most amazing life and to give your gifts to the fullest and to live your life's purpose to the fullest. Isn't that profound? And the cool thing is when I work with people and I teach them about this, one of the things that we do is it's called dropping into your listening. And it's a way of using the body to quiet the mind and being in a place of rest for a moment so that you can feel the next right thing coming through you. This divine energy comes through you and guide you into the next right thing to be doing, and the next right thing, and the next right thing. And there's a presence and a flow that begins to happen in your life. And you can tap it into it at any moment. In fact, what the goal of everything I teach is to live in that flow from morning until night. And when you recognize that you're out of it because things get difficult, awkward, frustration, the closing energy, the suffering starts coming back, that's when you stop and you go, whoa, what am I thinking? Where am I off track? But the real way that we're supposed to be living our lives as a human being is in this energy of flow, tapping into a divine source of intelligence that is coming through us and moving us into the world to create a better world. The guidance always leads to an ultimate love, compassion, harmony. It's amazing. Over and over and over, thousands of people have recognized that this is our true essence of how we're supposed to be moving through the world. And one of the things that I'm excited about is as more and more people learn how to use their internal guidance system, we get to be in a bigger conversation about this divine presence that's always with us in every moment. And it loves us and it cares about us. And it has a, I think, collaborative vision of who we're to be in the world and how we're here to serve. Isn't that phenomenal? We're born with this. It blows my mind. Just blows my mind. I feel so grateful every day to have this in my life because it changes the game completely in my being able to really be resilient and forthright and to create a loving, incredible world just by doing me every day with this experience of flow. So if you're interested in it, I'd love it if you would go to befearfreenow.com, do the 14 days. It's a free trial with our membership. You get to try it for 14 days, do the practices, and see what happens for yourself. Tapping into this divine intelligence, this Holy Spirit, this connection with God that becomes a collaborative effort in doing life. It's I can't even share it with you. And once you've experienced it, your mind will be blown too, and you'll feel this way too. You'll feel this absolute gratitude for the fact that we get to exist in collaboration with this beautiful, beautiful part of ourselves that's just starting to come out. I haven't seen anybody really talking about it in the depth that I have. Everybody's kind of like has a piece of it, and we're all kind of, I think this is the next level of our human evolution, is to tap into this piece and begin creating our world from that. So this is a coaching show, and I want to encourage you to dive in and get some coaching today if you want to. I did put the link here in the comments. If you're watching from a different platform, YouTube is the best place to grab the link from what I've understood. It is on YouTube. It's not on X or LinkedIn or Rumble or the other ones. It goes straight through to the YouTube channel. So if you're watching on a different platform right now and you want to go into Fear Free Human on YouTube, you can like click on it to come and coach with me. The other thing that I want to mention is this reprograms the neural pathways of our mind. So that reactionary mind that I was just referring to, where someone will say something and you have an immediate reaction to it. Your mind hijacks you and you're off on a tangent in a direction that feels kind of out of control. It might even feel like who you are. It isn't. Those reactions that we have are things that happen to us in our programming between the ages of 0 and 7. We get all of our fears and our stresses and our worries and our hurts. They come in during that time period, what upsets us, and our beliefs about ourselves and all these different things. And that's part of what the internal guidance system is unraveling. When it gives you that closing sensation, it's letting you know that you're actually moving into a place where you're not your best authentic self, that you've got a layer of garbage on top of you that isn't yours, and that layer is being peeled away. So when you feel that closing, uncomfortable feeling inside, the closing, lump in your throat, tightness in your chest, sick feeling in the solar plexus, that is like an alarm bell waking you up to, I am out of alignment with who I truly am. And in doing the practices and you find the opening, you're being brought back to who you are. And in the opening, a new neural pathway is started in the mind towards your authentic self. And you can feel it. You feel way more comfortable in challenging situations. You do not have the same reactions. You're able to actually consciously respond to challenges because that in a very short period of time of learning how to use this, the closing doesn't become something that's feels out of control and feels like something like anxiety no longer is something that happens to you, right? It's actually guidance. Oh, I'm feeling anxious. There's something in my thinking that's not true for me. I need to go do some exploration on it. And when you do the exploration based on the training that you get, you feel the opening and you're back in the game. You feel empowered and confident and self-assured again. And so being able to do that and to navigate your life using this IGS in that way, it changes everything for you. But the biggest thing that it changes is your competency in doing you well, in being your truest, most authentic self in the moment, of having the confidence to stick up for yourself, having the confidence to say no if you're a yes person, right? There's all these ways that you begin to be able to do life with an empowered sense of self, which is beautiful. I remember that there was this student who came through and she had this older sister, and the older sister was the star. That's what she believed because her older sister was always perfect, never got into trouble, got the straight A's, was the captain of the cheerleading squad, had the big boyfriends that everybody wanted, everything just seemed to be absolutely miraculous for her sister. And she was kind of the ugly duckling. She was more into music and into art. She was creative. She was quiet. She saw herself as being clumsy and klutzy, not as dynamic, not as pretty. And it was really fascinating because she came in to work with her internal guidance system. And one of the big things was she was living in the shadow of her sister. And the hard part is her sister, the big sister, hated that she felt that way, didn't want her to feel that way. She was a wonderful, loving person, but she couldn't. The two of them were at odds because of this mindset of having grown up with her sister getting all these accolades. And it turns out that as she slowly began peeling that onion away of all those thoughts of I'm the ugly duckling, it closed her, which means it's not true. She began like, I'm not the ugly duckling. And they're very different. The interesting thing is her sister was blonde, tall, and she was a brunette. Her sister had straight hair. She had curly hair. They actually looked like different. They were same mom and dad, but they looked very different. When she started stepping into clearing out all these thoughts about how she was less than and stopped comparing herself to her sister and started following the openings of the IGS about what her gifts were, man, her glow up. She ended up starting her own gallery with her artwork. She totally recognized her own unique Eastern European looking beauty. She started noticing instead of trying to emulate her sister and the way her sister dressed and the way her sister was, because she was constantly trying to be like her sister instead of being her true authentic self. The transformation was profound. There are things that you have, beliefs that you have about your abilities that are completely not true, and they show up as stress. They show up as anxiety. They show up as frustration. They show up as not being motivated, possibly depression. Depression, what I have found, is when you have gotten so far off of your actual path of what you came here to do that there is an underlying lack of life force energy. Life force energy comes to us as we are living our life. The way that we're led is through our desires that open us. I'm not talking about hedonistic desires. I'm talking about true embodied desires, a yearning, a desire to participate in particular things. It may be music, it may be art, it may be business. Business is an art for some people, right? Whatever it is. And as we're growing up, we are told what we're able to do and not able to do. If you're not supported in a powerful way by your community and your parents fueling the desire and the things that you're curious about and you're excited about, what happens is we get pushed in a direction that other people think is going to be successful for us. And as we're pushed and moved in this new direction, there's a dampening of our spirit. That natural inclination for curiosity and desire begins to go dim because we're not actually allowing ourselves to follow our true path. Our true path is that expanded desire. As that dampening happens, depression begins to set in. Depression is a lack of luster for life. of excitement for life, and it can become chronic. And the way out of it, and I do believe that, there's a chicken and an egg thing, is it that our lack of going after our true desires creates a chemical imbalance in the brain that creates the depression? Or there's kind of like, or is it that the chemicals, your body shifts as you're pushing yourself down? And so I think it's a yes and thing. But what I found through the years is in working with people who are dealing with depression, as we go back and look at what is their truest desire that's expanding them and opening them, and we find those little breadcrumbs, that the depression lifts and they get back into flow and they're back on their purpose and they're back into their authentic life's uh, goal, their authentic life, and they're living it, and the depression leaves. And so it's really important when you're actually experiencing your life to notice when you're frustrated, notice when you're overwhelmed, notice when you're feeling guilty, notice these closing experiences, because you're literally moving out of alignment with your truest, highest good and the purpose that you're here. And it's not that it's all rosy. That's Life is not intended to be. I don't believe we came here for our life to be perfect. That's not what it's about. What it's about is getting the lessons you're here to get, no matter how hard they are, and doing those lessons well. And this is the way through life that you can guarantee that as long as you're moving from opening to opening, and you're feeling this closed down sensation and finding your openings again, and knowing that you're on the right path, that things begin to work out, and even if it's hard, it feels right. Even if it's hard, it feels right. So what I want to leave you with today, since we don't have anyone who's jumping in for coaching, is, what is your truest heart's desire? It may seem super far away. It may seem like it's impossible. Traveling the world, picking up that instrument, getting the body that you desire, finding the love of your life, creating that incredible career where you're so fulfilled that you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning, having the most incredible, intimate, dynamic, beautiful relationship with your spouse, being engaged with your children in a way where you just are nurturing each other and you're close. The intimacy is beautiful and wonderful. Whatever it is in your life that is your truest heart's desire is a part of your life's purpose. It's a part of what you're here to have. And dropping in and taking the time to dig those things out, to excavate them out if you're not living it now, is crucial. It's essential, because if you're not on your divine purpose and your path, then there is a whole bunch of stuff that's not happening around that other people need you for. We're not here to do our lives alone. We do them in collaboration with each other, with our soul family and our community. There's people you need to meet, and you meet them by moving into your heart's desire, by living into that. It could be for change on the planet. It could be that your biggest heart desire is for a particular group of people, or an aspect of something that's dysfunctional and broken, and your heart is breaking every time you hear about it. And you want to do something about it, but you can't, because you got to keep doing this other thing over here. Got to work. I don't have time. I'm working over all the time over here, and I've got this and I've got that. It doesn't mean that when you find your heart's desire, that you have to leave everything and go run after it. That's not the way it works. What will happen is when you claim it and say, I want this to be different, or I want to accomplish this in my life, or I want to move towards this incredible relationship, the desire itself of saying, yes, I want that, just the yes, I want that, actually begins the ball rolling to where the breadcrumbs will start appearing. And little by little, micro steps at a time, you'll be moved back into alignment with where God wants you to be. And so don't ignore the things that you're yearning for. They're actually important for you to have them top of mind, because when they're top of mind, you will naturally begin moving towards them. And in naturally moving towards them, the world around you rights itself. And in the world around you righting itself, we actually do have a better planet. I know it's hard to believe that it's that easy, but after working with thousands and thousands of people, it is. but it takes you actually declaring that I want that. Getting in alignment with that divine intelligence that's in you and allowing it to lead you. And it's already giving you guidance. Every time you're closed, you're getting guidance to change your thinking. And if you want to know how, go to befearfreenow.com and do the first 14 days, do the free trial and see for yourself what it feels like. See what happens in just first 4 or 5 days of beginning to understand and tapping into this internal guidance system for yourself. All right, I do this coaching call 3 times a week. I am taking a break for 2 weeks from March 27th to April 8th, and then I'll be back. I'm going to be on vacation and having a wonderful time for spring break. I love you guys. Look forward to having you here again. I'm going to sign off for now. Remember, follow your desires. They're important, the ones that open you. I'm sending you love and blessings. Bye for now.